Right, so the 23-24 season is here very soon. The Premier League predictions are coming right up. Who have we got first? Who's finishing Champions League? I feel like this season is one which is a very unpredictable one because of what happened last season with the likes of Newcastle, Villa, Brighton getting into Europe. It's all up for grabs this season. We're going to kick it straight off with relegation candidates. We're going right into the thick of it. Now, I love Luton, and I'm going to start with them. They're obviously 20th for everyone. I had a career with them. You know, they've got the likes of Morris and Pazu, who's been with them from the start. Their signings, they've made astute signings like Nakamba coming back in. I saw a few signings that I don't really know much about, but I know Nakamba was really good for them. I just can't see them competing against the teams like Forest and Everton. I feel like it's an easy win for them, like who I feel will be around this relegation thing. And Luton might not finish 20th, they might finish 18th. But in my books, they will get relegated. I'm putting them 20th. I know people did with Bournemouth, and it could be like Bournemouth where, you know, they do the great escape. First time their Premier League season, I reckon they're going straight back there. And they'll enjoy it, they might get some good results. But you're 20th for me. Then going into 19th, I've gone with another promoted team, Sheffield United. They've got Bulldog, they've got players who have been in the Premier League before when they did get relegated. But I feel like the competition in the Premier League, people are saying it's at the lowest, but you look at teams around like 13th and above in my case, I can't see Sheffield United really fighting against those teams. They've made a few signings, but realistically, in the transfer market, I feel like they've been one where they haven't made them big impactful signings. Sheffield, unfortunately, in 19th for me. Then 18th, a big call by me here. I was struggling to predict who's going to be the last getting relegated. There's a few teams in and around there, but I'm looking at their managers, the signs of their team, the spirit around their club, and it's all quite good at the moment. The one spirit around the club that isn't good at the moment, and their manager has had second thoughts, is Wolves. Now, obviously, Wolves been up in the Europa League in recent time. They've been fighting for that 7th spot, that 6th spot. But last season, they started really badly. They was fighting relegation for quite a while. Have good players at their club. The manager needs to make it work and not jump ship, because I think if he jumps ship, which I expect him probably to, Wolves will be just a sinking ship, sinking cannon. The players won't know sort of what to do. They've just sold Ruben Neves. Obviously, they've sold him for a big fee, but they've got Sarr in goal. He's an asset, but I can't see them really fighting too much up in the table. They could may well survive, and that one of these other teams could slip in, but I feel like they will be hanging on. So I've put them 18. Then, moving up the table a little bit, we've gone with Forest to survive. Now, obviously, I feel like there's going to be a little battle here between Forest and Everton, and I've put above them, as well as Burnley 15th. We've gone 3 places up, so between 15th and 18th, I believe, there's not going to be many points between it. Obviously, I've just looked at these teams. Forest have signed a Langer. They're trying to get Dean Henderson, and I think they might be getting the Arsenal keeper Turner. Not sure about that, but they've got signings, you know, that have done it. They've got Lingard, who didn't perform well. Their strike force is decent. Brennan Johnson, a big asset for them. If they keep him, which I think they have kept him, they can do well. And Steve Clarke obviously made them survive last season. They could have sacked him. They stuck with him. They've backed him this season. And they've made some astute signings, which I feel will save them. Same with Everton. They've got Sean Dyche. They're getting a new stadium. Sean Dyche knows how to stay in the Premier League. He never got Burnley relegated. Kept Everton up. He plays a way in which is not the most entertaining, which could hinder him in the big factor and potentially get him in the relegation. But I feel like Sean Dyche knows what he's doing. We've gone Burnley now. Obviously, there's a big sort of buzz around Burnley. Company doing his magic in the Championship. Unbelievable team to watch. They go against City first game of the season. I think obviously they probably will lose, but they need to just show what they're about, their footballing ability. Like, they're not a 4-4-2 Sean Dyche team. And in that case, that's why I believe this sort of style, this new sort of play that Pep brought in, obviously Brighton are doing really well, playing from that, Villa are doing really well from it. I feel like Vincent Kompany's trying to instill that in this Burnley team, and I believe he will do that, which will be enough to keep him safe. Then we're moving up to the 10th spot now. I've just put them all up. Palace, Bournemouth, Fulham, West Ham and Brentford all taking up them spots. Now I feel like this will be a mid-table gap. Palace have obviously lost Zaha. Roy Hodgson's there. He'll do enough to keep them afloat. He'll probably come back at another season after this to make retirement again. Eze's the main man. And, you know, they've got enough quality to keep them up. They've been in the Premier League. They know what they're doing. But I don't think they'll get any higher than 14th. Fourth, put Bournemouth up there in 13th because what they did last season was very underrated. They made that video where everyone was like, I'm only 20th for this. Dominic Solanke's in there, good. They could easily fall into relegation calibre, but I feel like this season and like last season, they will do. They might be in and around there, but they'll do enough to crop up a few wins. The players that they've got, Solanke, obviously their keepers, semi-decent. Not too clued up on Bournemouth, but David Brooks coming back from his illness. Battled one disease. He can go and smash the Premier League up, and I feel like Bournemouth, with the... I don't know why they sacked the manager, actually. That's the one thing that confused me, but I do feel like they will fail. Then 12th, we've gone Fulham. Did a really good last season under Marco Silva. They have probably lost Mitrovic, who said he would refuse to play. People going to Saudi Arabia, refusing to play for their clubs just to get the move is a bit stupid. Like, I get if you want the money, like Henderson's gone. All these players gone. There's too many to count now. Everyone, they're bidding for everyone. They lost their best player. They've signed Jimenez. I feel like he will do a good job. A better job than he did last season at Wolves, where, you know, he had that first really good season, 20 goals or whatever it was, and he slowly dropped off after his injury. Marco Silva's there. He'll do a banging job. Another mid-table finish for them. And 11th, we have gone with the Hammers. Now, they've lost Declan Rice. Obviously, Bowen's still there on fire. They're in the Europa League again. I feel like, you know, David Moyes struggled last season to compete in the Prem and the Conference League. Obviously, he did win the Conference League. So if West Ham go and win the Europa League and finish 11th, they'll be bloody buzzing. Bloody hell, like the phone was buzzing then. But I do think that, yeah, they will slip off and they won't be competing with the likes of Brighton, Newcastle, Villa, even Brentford, the sort of teams like that because of that loss. And then if they're Maestro, will it be massive? I feel like they could recover. But they haven't really covered the position, if you know what I mean. They haven't bought. They've got 100 mil to spend. They haven't bought anyone realistically. I think they've got one signing, some youth man coming through, Bamba. It's all looking good there. Then 10th, we've got Brentford. Obviously, they've lost Tony. I feel Wissa and Mbeumo will step up even more. They might concede a few more goals, but overall, they'll get him back in, I think, January. Thomas Frank, incredible manager. And next season, if there's a big job up for offer, I feel like he could probably go. And we're moving into the top half, where I'm going to do 9th, 8th, and then I'll do the top 7. 9th, I have put Spurs. Now, this is very controversial. Spurs, obviously, there's that big rumour that Harry Kane's going to Bayern. He still hasn't gone yet, but I feel like he's either going to go in January, if he can, or he might go before the Premier League season. Now, obviously, I think there's a thing, if he doesn't start, it will go to Bayern before the Premier League season starts. He might stay. I feel like if not, he'll push a move in January if he does stay that season. I just can't see, in a world where Harry Kane's not there, Son's your main man. How's he going to cope without Kane? Obviously, Maddison has to step up and you got Richarlison. Spurs are in a weird limbo now where I just can't see them even touching that top 4, even that top 6. They might get Conference League. If Kane's still there, I feel like Spurs will get Europe next season. But I've done this based off of rumour and the possibility that Harry Kane isn't going to play. Obviously, scored 5 goals in his last friendly, but I've placed him 9th. Their manager won with Celtic. But I don't know. Spurs is the club at the moment that are just all over the place, and I do not believe in them. They're bottlers, and like you any belief I put into them, they bottle it. So why put any belief in them into the Premier League? 9th place. It's a bit harsh, but I feel they could be the Chelsea of last season. And 8th, I have gone with Brighton. Now this was very hard. I've been like, I had a list, crossing people out, crossing people in, of who's going to be this 8th spot. I feel like it could be a numerous teams. It could be Brighton, it could be Newcastle, it could be Villa. We're all in Europe, and it just depends who copes the best. I feel like I know Brighton have sown Kudus, and they've made some nice signings, like Pedro, is it? And they're apparently going to sell Casado. Football deserved plays is immense. I just feel like that Europa League, hoping of Europa League, will be quite hard. I believe they will probably go quite far, probably into quarterfinals, semi-finals, possibly. And that, in the Premier League, could hurt them a little bit. But I'll put them 8th place for now. Then we're going into the top 7, baby. Now, we'll do 7th, 6th, and 5th. It was a hard decision here. I've gone 7th Villa. The reason I've gone Villa is because obviously we finished 7th last season. We've got Conference League. We've signed 3 players, 3 great players who are playing well in pre-season. Unai Emery's playing this absolutely amazing football in pre-season. Like him playing Pau Torres left back, maybe Conza right back, he goes free at the back. He's changing up all these formations. He's having multiple ideas, multiple tactics. But obviously we do have Conference League. Have we signed enough players to cope with that Conference League and the Premier League? I'd like one more probably, but if that one more is not going to be high quality, then there's no point signing them. But I do believe we will be pushing that top 6 and fighting for that top 6. Whether we get in it is going to be hard, because obviously Chelsea have no Europe this season. And United have strengthened. You've got all the big boys, you know what I mean? And Newcastle are still there. You Obviously, they've got Champions League, but they're still going to be fighting. Then, 6th and 5th, this is a shocker. Man United are going to be 6th place. Now, I feel like United are so overrated at this. They signed Mount. Liverpool were interested in him. I've watched him in a friendly, obviously. Pre-season isn't the be-all and end-all. He missed that chance. But he had such a poor season at Chelsea last season. And then he just left. Like, you're a bloody loyal... I'm saying loyal, but like he's the Chelsea legend, he's the Chelsea hero. Him and Reece James growing up in Cobham. Leaves for Man United, who obviously they have got Champions League football. Ten Hag seems to want to build this team. He spent more than Klopp now, which has been advertised everywhere. They buy Onana, and when he first came, everyone was saying he's top 3 keepers in the league. I don't see he's better than Emi Martinez. I don't see he's better than bloody Alisson. I don't see he's better than Ederson. I would probably put him in top 5 maybe. He is a good keeper, but he's by no means like absolutely astronomical levels better than De Gea. He's better on his feet, but he still has a mistake in him, which De Gea had. So I don't think they've improved too much. And if you've got donkeys like Maguire, got to rotate. It's going to be an absolute shocking display for Man United. I feel like that striker's unproven. He's injured for a few seasons. It's 70 million or whatever it's cost for him. I can't see him scoring 20 plus goals. I feel like the only outstanding performer will be Bruno. Battered in pre-season. Ten Hag, 6th place. 5th place, we've gone Chelsea. Now, Chelsea could easily get into the Champions League. It's just because they've bought a lot of players. You've got Nkunku, you've got Jackson. You've got all these different new players fitting in, gelling well. Enzo Fernandez still got to gel well. They bought Robert Sanchez. How can Pochettino manage these? I know he did a good job at Spurs, but can he just go to Chelsea and straight away throw him into the Champions League again? Possibly. I feel like he will get him back into Europe, but I'm not sure whether that top 4 is still there for him. Like in the first season, obviously, they had a mixed bag last season, but I feel like they could easily get in this top 4. 4th, we're moving on to the big spots. I've put the Geordie boys Newcastle. Now, a lot of people are saying they're going to drop off huge 8th place, 9th place. It's sort of like when West Ham were fighting for Europa League or Leicester or something like that. Of course, Champions League's going to be hard to cope with. They probably might get knocked out in the round of 16, something like that, group stages. But I feel like they have enough quality, Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, Isak, Wilson, to fight on both fronts. And I feel like Eddie Howe, the mentality that he has, there's that documentary coming out, it's making Newcastle an elite team. Obviously, they've got the owners of Saudi Arabia and they'll back them no matter what. But I do also have to play devil's advocate and say it could be a do or die, because if Eddie Howe drops out of the Champions League in the group stage and Newcastle are like 10th, I feel like he could be the first manager sacked. I feel like once Newcastle are in that rhythm, not a lot of teams that can stop them. There, it could very easily be Villa in this 4th spot. I would back though Newcastle or Villa to be higher than Man United, or take that top 4 spot over Man United, because I just feel like they're going to be shit this season. It could very well be Spurs, but I think at the moment, stick with the Geordie boys. And we're moving on to the top 3, baby. We've got Liverpool left, Arsenal left, and City. Arsenal have spent probably the most this transfer window. Absolute ridiculous amount of money on Declan Rice, Havertz, Timber. They've got it all. They won the Champions Shield, but I don't think they've got the balls. They just don't have the legs, realistically, of the 38-game season against a Liverpool and a Man City. I'm putting Arsenal 3rd. I think they'll well win a trophy, maybe a Carabao Cup or something. They're back in the Champions League. It's going to be interesting to see how they cope with that. And they've got the good players. They've got enough depth to cope with all these competitions. With Arteta, as soon as he gets a bit of pressure, or as soon as Arsenal had a bit of pressure on them when City beat them twice, they kind of slipped it away. Now, the top 2 of usual per season at the moment. So either Liverpool or City first. I have gone against City every single season, but I'm not going to go against them this season. I'm putting City first. I think the quality that I have is unbelievable. They've signed that Guardiola just as depth. Like, he's 70 mil and he's going to be depth. Obviously, Pep can rotate like mad now. He's got Haaland, Grealish, Foden. The amount of signs, man. If he keeps Bernardo Silva, he's got even more players. And yes, I've saw this argument that they don't have much depth. Their players can just play in different positions. That is true, because we've got Ake who plays centre back, left back in this midfield role, also centre back. Kyle Walker right back to play centre back. It's like this false 9 if you have to. Foden. It is really good, but the quality of players they have on their bench allows them to do that. A crucial injury to Haaland, and then say De Bruyne, that could ruin their season. But so far, with a fully fit squad, Man City got to be the bomb. I feel like Liverpool will come back this season. Nunes looks good. Obviously, their attack force, they've got a little rotation of like 4 attackers there, 4, 5. Salah's probably the only now person. It's just if they can stop conceding them goals, because they still concede goals. They need to shore up that. hopefully that midfield. It looks good, apart from when they sacked off Fabinho and Henderson, so now they need more depth. So it's confusing why they've done that. I'm going to put Liverpool second. So there are my Premier League predictions. I reckon it will be a tight one again, Klopp versus Guardiola, and in the relegation, I reckon it's going to be like a 5-6 team battle, maybe to the end of last season. But they are my Premier League predictions. We're going to quickly hit it with the top goal scorer, top assister, all this crap. Top goal scorer, we've gone Haaland. I reckon he's going to do it again. Probably not as many goals, but it is what it is. The robot. What else can I say? You shoot when he scores. Underdogs, I'm going to go Aston Villa. I feel like everyone... There is a few underdogs at the moment. People saying old Villa, but Unai Emery is unbelievable. And there is a world, I just don't want to dream about it, where we win the Conference League and possibly get 4. Top assist that I've gone De Bruyne, as long as he stays fit. It could be De Bruyne or Trent, but I just feel like... I don't know if Klopp's going to play Trent in that midfield role again. He could play him in right back. De Bruyne is De Bruyne. He's been a great player. Golden Glove for keeper. It was De Gea last season. You've got the likes of Alisson, Ederson. Ederson always concedes a goal late on. Alisson obviously saved Liverpool, but he can't stop conceding at least one goal. I've gone with Pope again. I think Newcastle's defence, obviously, it's not going to be, might not be as good as last season where they was really good, but I feel like that's Eddie Howe's base, keeping a clean sheet. I feel like Pope could do it this season. I'm really hyping up Newcastle again to have a great season. If they're flop now, I mean, I just like a donkey, but we're going to go with that. First manager sacked. I think it's going to be Wolves' manager. He might be sacked or he might walk away. Wolves going to be battling relegation again, but I'm also going to throw Eddie Howe in really bad. They shouldn't do. I reckon he could bloody leave or something like that. There could be a bit of unsettlement. Eddie Howe goes, and they'll be sort of in the Man City world where Man City first started up. So that is the Premier League predictions over. What a bloody ride it's been. The relegation battle and that top 8 battle, that 8 teams that I've put there, I feel can all like sort of give each other a really good game. Newcastle, Brighton, Villa, even Brentford to some extent. Obviously I've lost Tony, but we're all coming for the big lot, and it outproved last season. The relegation, obviously, there's a lot of teams with quality. I feel like Luton and Sheffield, you're pretty much a bit lower quality than everyone else, but it could easily be Wolves, Forest, Everton, maybe even Burnley in that last spot. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe. I'll see you when the Premier League season starts.